Welcome to XebiaLabs. In this video, we'll look at examples of 5 unique features that set XebiaLabs apart from workflow-based deployment tools. First, let's quickly review the basics of XebiaLabs. This is the deployment workspace, where you set up your deployments. The left side shows the versions of the applications that have been added to XebiaLabs, and the right side shows the environments where you can deploy those applications. It also shows the apps that you've already deployed. When you select an application and an environment, XebiaLabs automatically maps the files and middleware resources in the application to the middleware containers in the environment and generates a deployment plan. You don't need to design a workflow or manually add steps to the plan. XebiaLabs' underlying model determines what needs to be done and in what order based on deployment rules that are contained in the XebiaLabs server. So what happens if you change your infrastructure? For example, you can see here that I've added 4 new Tomcat virtual hosts to my dev environment. XebiaLabs makes it easy. It already knows that my application is deployed on virtual hosts 1 and 2, so the deployment plan only includes steps needed to deploy the app on the new virtual hosts. I don't need to manually identify what's new or create a special workflow to update the new hosts. With a couple of clicks, I can bring my new infrastructure into the same state as the rest of my environment. But maybe I'd like some more control over the way the deployment is done. For example, I'd like to deploy to my 4 new virtual hosts in parallel. I don't need to regroup or reorder the deployment steps by hand. I just apply a deployment property called an orchestrator. I'm going to select the Parallel by Container orchestrator, because each virtual host is a middleware container. XebiaLabs automatically reorganizes the plan so the application will be deployed in parallel. And I can combine orchestrators to create the exact deployment flow that I want. For example, I've separated my 4 virtual hosts into 2 groups. I want to deploy to the hosts in the first group in parallel, and then do the same with the hosts in the second group. I can easily do this by adding the sequential by deployment group orchestrator. Again, I don't have to do any manual work. I just choose orchestrators, and XebiaLabs does the rest. In addition to changing or expanding your infrastructure, you might need to update your middleware configurations based on new business needs. XebiaLabs can automate that process too. Updating middleware resource specifications is as easy as deploying application artifacts. XebiaLabs allows you to manage middleware configurations in a centralized location called a dictionary, so you don't have to manually set the same properties on server after server. XebiaLabs doesn't just help you automate application deployments, it also helps you automate the way you manage dependencies among applications and components. When you create or import a version of an application, you simply provide information about the other apps it depends on. When you're ready to deploy an application, XebiaLabs analyzes its dependencies, selects the highest versions of the dependent applications that satisfy them, and deploys the apps together. If a dependency can't be met, you'll see an error telling you what's missing. When it's time to update a deployed application, XebiaLabs will check if the changes still meet the dependencies and automatically update dependent apps too. And no need to worry about breaking things if you need to undeploy a component. XebiaLabs will prevent you from removing apps or components that others depend on. XebiaLabs doesn't just automate deployments, it automatically creates rollback plans too. Whether a deployment succeeded or only partially completed, you can roll back in just a few clicks. XebiaLabs ensures that your environment is returned to its previous version and configuration state, with no need for you to write and test rollback scripts. Leave workflows and manual scripting behind. Visit XebiaLabs.com and try automating your deployments with XebiaLabs today.